Welcome to another Coffee with Samso. Today we're at the Mill Point Cafe Bookshop in South Perth. And I've got Ralph Winter here from Moho Resources to give us a rundown on what the company's been doing and what's coming forward. Welcome, Ralph. Thanks for giving us your time.
Yeah, well, thanks for inviting me out for coffee. It's a great day for it.
Yep. Not as sunny as about 5 minutes ago, but no. It should be good. So what's Moho, and maybe give a rundown about yourself, your role?
Sure, yeah. So look, I'm the commercial director for Moho. Shane and I have been working together for many years. We worked on exploration companies going back to 2005, 2006, for the likes of Trafford Resources and Ironclad Mining and so on, and a few other ones. And Shane and I have worked together for a long time. We sort of took an opportunity when the market was depressed around about sort of 2013, 14. We decided, well, we're going to start looking to acquire some really good quality projects and get it ready for a time where we want to look to list a company when it was right. So we acquired about 5 or 6 projects in that time in different deals that we did, and then ultimately we culled that back to 3, which we then used to IPO on. So we IPO'd back in November 2018 with the 3 projects we have now. We've got Empress Springs in far north Queensland, which is a fantastic, really large belt scale gold opportunity project. And then we've got 2 other projects here in WA, one just outside of Kalgoorlie, which is Silver Swan North, right next to Poseidon Silver Swan nickel mine, which is actually potential for both nickel and gold. So that's great from a current market perspective, I suppose. And then we got one out at Burracopin, which is out in the WA wheat belt, which is an interesting one because a lot of people don't really associate gold with that part of the world. But as probably a lot of people that know the area might know, there was a company called Explorum which made quite a nice discovery out there called Tamper Hill, and they eventually sold that on to Ramelius Resources to feed their Edna May gold mine out that way. So it's all very exciting for us at this point in time. We've I suppose, like everybody, we've been delayed a little bit with the COVID stuff, and that sort of slowed processes down, and being able to get people out to site and all that kind of stuff, especially, the one in Queensland has been quite difficult logistically from that point of view. But we've been pushing ahead with our projects here in WA. In particular, Samson Dam is an early mining opportunity for us, we believe, and we've started mining investigations into that project now. So the whole idea is that we've got a small prospect called Samson Dam, which is only about 350 meters long, so it's not a huge prospect. But even initial indications on that is that it could be economical for us to actually get that up and running and start generating a cash flow. And really the idea is that Moho becomes a self-funded explorer, so we can start to generate cash. We don't have to tap the market as much and dilute our shareholders, and then we can use those funds to really ramp up the company and develop our other projects. The beauty of Samson Dam is that we've got a target extent up to the north west, which we call terrales. That's about another 1.5 kilometers, so 350 meters at Samson Dam, 1.5 kilometers at terrales, and then we've got about 2 or 3 other pods which are about the same size as Samson Dam, which we want to look to explore further as well. Okay. And the beauty of all of that is that they're all set on a granted mining lease as well. So from a permitting perspective and so on, it's a lot easier for us to get that up and running and actually start to generate a cash flow should it all pan out. So we're in the process now. We've just completed a first tranche, it's really our 3rd tranche of drilling, but our first tranche in this stage of drilling that we're doing, which is part of the drilling that's going to be used for the scoping study, which we expect to be out probably early next year. And if all goes well, we'll probably have an indicative JORC resource towards the end of this year as well. So everyone's really excited about that. We've staged, I think, about 4 or 5 different drill campaigns on Samson Dam itself, just that prospect. And that's really to sort of do all your infill, your resource definition drilling, your extension drilling, and also the limits of where the mineralization is. And really you need to understand where the body is so you can go in there and mine effectively and make your money. So that's sort of really the key of what we've been doing at Samson Dam currently. And there's a lot of other work that we're doing as well. There's some metallurgy, which is looking really good. We believe. So hopefully when those results come back, we'll be able to put that out to the market, and things will be, if that all pans out, then obviously mining is going to be going well. And the whole idea right now is that we've also just announced an SPP, a share purchase plan. We're looking to raise about $2.4 million. And the idea behind that is that it'll be used for both completing the elements for the mining study and the scoping study, but also to start with the extension drilling up on those other targets that we have on that mining lease. So obviously we want to start proving up the ability to not only start at East Sampson Dam, but expand the mining operation as we move forward into the future. So that's really been our key focus probably of late, probably for the last sort of 8 months or so. We've been focusing a lot on East Sampson Dam. That being said, we've also done some work out at Burracopin, which is a really interesting one. Like I said, it's in the wheat belt, so there's a lot of farming going on there. We spent a lot of time developing really good quality relationships with the farmers in that area. And we've just completed, a couple of months back, we completed our first drilling program on the ground there, just prior to the farmers actually going and reseeding the ground. And we got some really encouraging results in terms of the gold that's hosted in there, and there's also a little bit of silver anomalism. And we believe it's given us an indicator of where to go next in terms of our next big drill program. So I think everybody sort of sees that as a bit of a sleeper for the company. We're only about 22 kilometres from Edna May. So as I mentioned before, Explorum, they sold their project to Ramelius, which is feeding Edna May, or which they want to look to feed Edna May, and that's about 100 kilometres away. So with us being about 22 kilometres away, we hope that if we can prove up enough gold there, that it'll be a no-brainer for Ramelius to really come in and say, well, look, this is a good opportunity for us to get feed closer to the mine and feed it into Edna May as well.
I think in the sense of like with East Sampson Dam, what style of mineralization are we talking about there?
Well, look, it's an interesting one. We're still getting a bit of a handle on it, I suppose. Initial indications are we're looking at sort of quite flat-lying tabular horizontal structures that are sitting, or horizontal bodies of mineralization, and they seem to sort of trend downwards or dip downwards as we sort of move towards the southeast. So we're getting a bit more of a handle on that at the moment. We've got CSA Globals doing our JORC resource and doing our modelling for us. And we've been bouncing that between the mining engineer and the modelling, and just sort of trying to get a good handle on how that looks. The new data that we're getting back from our drilling that we're doing now is we're feeding back into the model, and that's sort of refining it a bit more and really getting a good understanding of the extents of the mineralisation, and also where to go next. Where can we extend the gold? Where's the high-grade gold? You know, where can we sort of best mine it? So look, I mean, it's going to be an interesting project for us, and like I said, initial indications are it's already going to be economic for us, and that was even prior to the gold price hitting almost 2,000 US dollars. We did our initial modelling on, I think, 1,800 Aussie, and we're now sitting at 2,700, over 2,700. So as long as the gold price holds up and everything, we should make some decent money out of the project.
Yeah, no, the state of the market is I mean, being in this industry for almost 3 decades, it's amazing how we went from no one really doing any exploration or touching any of these really well-known high potential projects, but untested, to every man and his dog doing it. And the good fortune for you guys is that you're in that market, like you said, you know, you're able to be able to potentially have a project that will self-fund the company, which is, you know, it's well, not unheard of, but definitely a rare sentence to have. Like a rare word in our industry is dividend, right?
That's right.
So, so I think this is it's interesting. That's why I'm curious. I want to touch on it because I've always said that the whole sort of Northern Malduna belt is still ripe for discoveries all over the place. It's such a huge system. I mean, you've got Silver Swan next to you, which is everyone knows is a potentially high grade, well, ex-high grade sort of nickel mine. And for that to happen, you must have a lot of cooking facilities and having you guys having found what you have found there, it's not surprising, you know, in that sense.
Exactly.
And the other project that you've got in the wheat belt, I've actually wrote something about Explorum and Cygnus, I think they're called, you know, almost 2 years ago now. And we still haven't heard much about that wheat belt sort of area. And you know, Edna May is a blip there that proves that there is mineralisation in that area, and I've seen some of your results. sure you haven't found a mother lode, but you're definitely in the right area.
Yes.
You know, with bedrock gold and things like that, which is exactly what we're all looking for anyway.
Yeah, that's right. And look, I mean, that was the whole point of the initial program. It wasn't to find the mother lode, it's to really vector into where you need to look to find that mother lode.
Yeah.
And that's, I suppose the key with exploration is it's all about timing. You've got to start with certain processes to vector you into where to actually find the source, if you can find the source.
Yeah.
And that's really what you're looking for, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, or most exploration companies are looking for. So, and it does take time, unfortunately, as a lot of investors. I think a lot of investors are looking for a really quick return on their money and so on. But with exploration, you've got to be patient. You know, the initial 2-3 years of a company really are the key ones, and that's when you're sort of building up your knowledge of the resource, the knowledge of the geology, the mineralization, and how that really fits within the dynamic of other potential or other projects that are in that area as well, because that really gives you an idea of what you might be looking at longer term. So
it's good to see that you guys are chasing that area. I like to see the people going after these kind of areas, because look, at the end of the day, it's the whole Yilgarn blocks is very, very endowed, and you know, who would have thought you found something in Boddington and the size of Boddington, and also obviously in the wheat belt there. In terms of capital market, like you know, you guys are talking, I'm sure, every day about, you know, where you're going to get next funding from, and what. And we all know the gold price is buoyant, and unfortunately the state of flux of the world is not. It's in favour of gold price rather than not.
Yeah.
So what's the market? Is everyone still really buoyant and looking for you know, the likes of yourself to place money?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, in terms of a smaller exploration company, there probably hasn't been a better time to try and raise money in the market. So despite all the turmoil with COVID and everything else, and people really being quite pessimistic about things, gold in particular is you know, one of the things that people are really looking into, and that's always been, you know, as most people know, it's been the safe haven for a lot of people. When the markets go south, people start to push money into gold. And look, that's good for us, because I suppose from our perspective, we really want to push our money into the ground and make something valuable that we can create for the shareholders and start to generate money out of the company, not just keep taking money from the company to keep the company moving along. So if we can get enough money in now to sort of really accelerate the project and expedite it and take advantage of the good gold price, then we're really in a good position from a company growth strategy point of view. And I suppose once we get sort of the whole East Sampson Dam, Silver Swan North project up and running, like I said, we can expand that. Burracopin is probably the next cab off the rank. If we can prove up enough gold there, that's another potential gold mining proposition for us. And then we can really sort of look to focus on Empress Springs as well, which, like I said, is a really large belt scale opportunity. We're now one of the largest landholders in far north Queensland around that golden belt that we've got there. We've used Dr. John Ronsky to do a lot of our regional targeting for us. You know John quite well, very well renowned, and he came up with some really good ideas for us on how to target that region. And every time we go and do a bit of work there, we feed it back to him, and he sort of refines it a bit and gives us a better idea of where we need to be looking. And that's looking very exciting for us. Obviously, the drawback of being in far north Queensland is it's quite remote. So you know, it's a little bit more logistically a challenge than, say, you know, Kalgoorlie, which is just up the road from us here. But really, that's the other benefit of where we are here. Is Kalgoorlie has everything you need. It's got mines, it's got skills, it's got equipment, it's got everything you need to basically get a mine up and running. And that's without having to actually build your own plant. You know, you can just feed it into a toll mill. We've got 11 toll mills in close proximity to us. Not all of them are suitable for what we're doing, obviously, but it just shows you the abundance of you know, the infrastructure in the area. And it's partly why we love, well, not only gold. I mean, we've always been gold, you know, in terms of our commodities, gold and nickel focused. But it's partly why we love the area as well. It's just because it's so much easier. Your government is you know, supportive. The jurisdiction is perfect for what you're trying to do, and you've just got everything you need in terms of actually being able to make the operation work. So,
I mean, the beauty about the gold price now is, you know, it's $2,700 Aussie, and like you said, you know, a lot of guys like yourself did a lot of studies before. It was based on 1800 Aussie, so you got a lot of fat in there.
That's right.
Even if you lost half of it through cost because you're too small. You don't have the upside of scale. You're still making money even at 1800.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everything else is a bonus per ounce.
Yeah.
Which when you add it up, it's a lot of money.
It is, yeah, and it does add up very, very quickly. I mean, every $50, $100 that the gold price goes up is several millions of dollars worth of profit for the company. So
that's right.
So yeah, look, I mean, it's from our point of view, everybody internally has been very focused on making this work and has been quite excited with how things have been going. And obviously we've everyone's been concerned with the corona thing and so on, so we've been trying our best to make sure that everybody's kept safe, not only within the company, but our investors and our stakeholders and the community at large. But like I said, we place a lot of emphasis on making sure that we have good relationships with people out in the field, the farmers and the locals and that kind of thing as well. We're trying to employ locally where we can as well. And we're a small WA-based company. We want to make sure that WA does well and progresses and is a benefit to everybody, really.
What's your market cap at the moment at this point in time?
So look, we're around about 12 million at the moment.
Okay.
Which is funny though, because I suppose about 2 months ago we were at about 4 million. So I guess it's a bit of a signal of not only where the market is, I suppose, but also the work that we've been doing along the way that's really added value to the company. And we've really been trying to, emphasize that to people, is that, yes, the market's doing great and that's great for us, but all the work that we do is really good quality work. We've been getting good quality gold results, we've been getting good quality anomalies on the ground at Burracopin and so on as well. And we've always used really good quality people to do the work for us. So like I say, Dr. John Ronsky, Kim Frankham does our geophysics for us. A lot of people that have been in the industry for 30, 40 years and have fantastic skills and qualifications really help us sort of vector in on where we need to be looking.
I think the first time we sat down and spoke in West Perth would have been sometime mid last year, sometime, was it?
Yes, would have been, about a year ago. Yeah.
So you guys have come a long way since that conversation, because if I'm not mistaken, drilling was nowhere in sight at that point in time.
No, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, look, I suppose we were probably a bit more focused on some of the nickel targets we had at that point. Not that nickel's fallen off the radar for us entirely. As you know, we've got Terry Streeter on our board as our chairman, who's a renowned nickel buff, has made a lot of money out of nickel and is a fantastic asset to the company. But we've sort of taken a little bit of a step back from the nickel. We want to get the gold into production, start to generate a cash flow, and then really focus on acquiring good quality nickel assets, or focusing on the nickel assets that we've got and really developing those. We still think there's a great future for nickel in the future. Obviously, the EV market's really given nickel a bit of a kick, as well as copper and a few other things, but we think nickel's got some good legs on it into the future. And we sort of see the gold, I guess, as a bit of a conduit to be able to afford the kind of exploration and the development that's required for that nickel as well. So, and Terry's always coming up with ideas on what we can do, where we can go, how we can develop things and so on. So despite being a nickel buff himself, he's very actively involved in the company, from a gold perspective as well. He really appreciates what we're doing, he understands what we're doing, and he sees the value in it. And he's always a good sounding board. You can have a good discussion with him, and he's got some great ideas, being in the industry as well for a long time himself. He's sort of a great person to sort of speak to and come up with ideas on how we can advance things and strategies on developing the company. So, look, I mean, in terms of the board itself, I guess we spend a bit of time acquiring good quality people like Terry. Like I said, Shane and myself have worked together for a long time. So Shane's a geoscientist. I'm more on the commercial side, so I deal a lot with the admin, the finance, the promotion, all that kind of stuff. And then we've got Adrian Larkin, who's a geologist and a lawyer, so he's great from that perspective. So from a commercial perspective, I can bounce things off him legally, and on the other side, he's good technically. He worked with WMC and so on in the past, and he's got great geological knowledge as well. So that all sort of came in. It wasn't just about acquiring good quality projects, excuse me. It was about acquiring good quality people to do the work as well, because if you don't have those people to really push things and advance things and come up with the ideas that make the discoveries, you're not really going to get there in the end. So.
I mean, that's a good point, because a lot of people don't understand that the management part plays a big role, and that's why you get the projects. It's not the other way around, the tail wagging the dog kind of stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
And and good management can make a world of difference corporately as well as technically. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
using likes of John Roski and things like that. I mean, that's very, very, very sort of impressive in a sense, because that high level look is actually very important. As much as it's important as the guy collecting the sample, because if he stuffs that up, then the story's gone out the window.
Well, that's
right?
true, yeah.
And I always tell people, tell the guys that I work with that even though you're there collecting the bags, your job is as important, if not more important than mine, because if you don't collect it properly, story ends.
That's
you know?
right,
If I misinterpret something, we can drill the hole again. You know, that kind of stuff.
That's right.
So, you know, in closing, I guess, you know, if you had this opportunity to tell, you know, someone about the company, about whether they're a shareholder wanting to be one, you know, that putting you on the spot, you know, what were you going to say to this person?
That's an interesting question, actually, because I suppose a lot of people would go with the hard sell and go, this is us, you know, we're going to be great, we're going to be fantastic, we're going to be the next BHP, blah, blah, blah. And look, I mean, I guess that's the aspiration of every small exploration company, is to get to that point. Right now, what we're trying to do is just generate value for our shareholders. And we can do that by starting to mine small and build up the company. Don't overextend ourselves early on. You know, we're not looking to, you know, make hundreds of millions of dollars in the first month. We can start small, use our cash flow, build the company, generate more targets, generate more projects around that, and really build the company up as we go into the future. And that's really a nice growth story for shareholders. You're not sitting there waiting for this massive uplift and this big jump and this massive discovery or whatever, which would be great to have, don't get me wrong. But I think from a strategy point of view, we really want to build the company and have a sustainable way that the company can add value to the shareholders, to the community, to the market, and just have a good solid company, you know, not only now, but for many, many years to come.
Oh, fantastic. Look, Ralph, I mean, it's a fantastic story. I mean, as I said, you know, we met last year. I like the exploration, I always have. Market's now finally giving us the opportunity to raise the money to be able to go and do the things that we say we're so good at or we like so much.
Yeah, that's right.
But thank you for your time. I hope we can have another update or so down the road when you know, you get more results.
Yeah, for sure.
But in the meantime, thank you.